Hello guys, long time no see. It's been a little while since I did a video. I've been a little bit busy, went to a few festivals, in amongst that, working VR. I just haven't got around to making videos, and you know what it's like when you get out of the habit, it's all too easy to stay out of the habit. So here is a video. But yeah, so the festivals, I can't even remember if I've made a video since Glastonbury, which was amazing. The weather was fantastic, music was good, and everyone had a great time. It was a real success this year. It's not always guaranteed. Last year was a real struggle, mainly because of the conditions. But yeah, at the festivals I had a plan to shoot some 360 spherical videos, and I did do some of that. Not a hell of a lot though, it has to be said. In the heat of the moment, you do just kind of forget about filming videos and you just experience where you are and what you're doing. So I did kind of film a lot less than I intended to at Glastonbury in terms of 360 videos. I've only uploaded one so far, and that's on a different channel. If you want to see it, its link will be in the low bar. That is a video from the crowd of Jeremy Corbyn's speech on the main stage, and it was brilliant. He had a huge crowd, and it was a really, really positive atmosphere, and the whole weekend was a real positive atmosphere, almost a kind of defiant show of positivity amidst all the negative stuff that had happened around that time in the weeks leading up to it. So yeah, really positive time at Glastonbury, brilliant. And still got some more festivals to go to throughout the rest of the summer. But yeah, I kind of got out of the habit of making videos, so here is one. I think I already said that. I just wanted to talk a little bit mainly about PSVR again. It's all the gaming that I'm doing currently, really. Still obviously playing Zelda Breath of the Wild, although it has to be said that has taken a bit of a back seat in the last few weeks as I trawl through the library of games available on PSVR, and there is a hell of a lot of games actually available for it. Really nice selection of games out there now. Most of them are sort of indie games, smaller experiences. You know, the budgets aren't there yet for the AAA titles, the full-length AAA games that we eventually no doubt will get, but there just isn't currently the market there for it, for the bigger companies to justify those huge budgets on producing something really substantial. And that's understandable. You know, I'm not bitter about that. It's new technology. This is the first wave of VR. I think it's doing really well. The PSVR itself has sold over 1 million units now, and it's the highest selling VR units of all of the main sets. So it's doing really well and it's picking up. And as we go on, we'll see more and more kind of killer apps. And I do think that this scene is going to grow. There are still some technical limitations to it that might put some people off, but the experiences are solid enough already to impress the vast majority of people, I believe. And we're getting some AAA title converts or conversions. You may already have heard that Skyrim VR is coming. I can't fucking wait to play Skyrim in VR. I really hope that they nail the controls for that game. There has been some kind of problems. Some games haven't quite nailed free movement in VR with the Move controllers. Of course, no thumbsticks on the Move controllers, so you have to figure out some other way of moving around a 3D space. Now, some games do this really well. One of my favourite VR games is Windlands, which is so fun. It's basically a Spider-Man simulator, because with the Move controllers you shoot out these wires and you latch onto things and you swing through the environment, and it's kind of exploration and finding, you know, treasures and the rest of it. But the fun comes in the navigation of your environments, and the way that that game deals with free movement without thumbsticks is very simple and very intuitive, and I really hope other games pick this up as a control method for the Move controllers in VR. And that is, you simply press the Move button, the big button on the front of the Move controllers, which is just simply press the Move button and you will move in the direction that you're facing. So of course your head is dictating the direction and you just go forward with the move button. You can reverse as well with one of the other face buttons on the controller. So it's a really simple, intuitive way of solving that movement problem without thumbsticks. It's one of the main drawbacks of the PSVR over the other VR systems, and I think that is a very elegant way of dealing with it. So anyway, Skyrim VR, I really hope that they have something similar like that. Apparently I've heard there's 2 different movement control methods so far. You can use the DualShock as well, you can use a normal controller, but for those that want to use the Move controllers for the full VR experience, hopefully you'll be able to move around as freely as well. And yeah, just having those Move controllers in Skyrim or in any kind of action game really adds to the sense of immersion. Not only do you have 2 visual points of reference of your own, kind of body, obviously the movements that you do replicate the movements in the game, and it just feels so immersive. There's a game called VR Invaders, and you're dual wielding in that. You have, in one hand you have a shield, in one other hand you have your gun, and that works really well. So you're just blocking shots coming in from all these robots and such with a shield, whilst at the same time firing around everywhere with your other hand. And it really adds a lot to be able to have that freedom of movement, those points of reference in the game that ground you in that physicality of where you are, and yeah, just the realistic nature of moving items around that you're using. So it's really fun to use the Move controllers for those types of games, and I hope that these AAA conversions really do a good job of nailing down VR controls for those games. So yeah, so Skyrim VR is coming. Fucking brilliant. It's going to be a legitimate reason to buy Skyrim again. Yeah, I did finish it. I didn't do a hell of a lot of the side quests, I have to say. I got through it fairly quickly, but this will definitely be a reason to buy it again. I hope it gets a physical release. Now, that's one of the main points I wanted to touch on in this game, in this video rather, is, man, I love my PSVR. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's really great. But the sad fact is, the vast majority of games coming out on it now are digital only, and it hurts my soul a little bit every time I've got to every time I buy a game on the PlayStation Store instead of getting it physical. It's, I mean, I go down the list of reasons why I prefer physical. It's the same as anybody, you get to trade it in, use it against another purchase in the future if you don't like it. You get to keep your collection there. You have more control over your games. You're not as reliant on servers, that kind of thing. You can trade them, all the rest of it. Kind of the same thing as selling it. But yeah, there are several advantages for me for having physical collection. And unfortunately, because of the nature of the platform that it's on, we're not getting a lot of physical releases on PSVR. There was quite a nice number of them in the first kind of 6 months or so. It's really dropped off now. There's only been a few physical releases in the last few months. You had Farpoint, obviously, with the bundle with the special aim controller, which is a lot of fucking fun to use. You've got Star Trek Bridge Crew, which is a really interesting looking game, a multiplayer, mainly multiplayer game where you're on the Star Trek bridge going on missions, and there was a few others, but the vast majority are digital only, and it's sort of inevitable. I kind of understand why that is, and having given my decision to jump on board this first wave of VR tech and support it, I've just had to bite the bullet and face the facts that my PSVR collection is going to be massively digital, and it's a pisser, but the experiences have been worth it, and there's quite regular sales on as well on the PS Store, and just today there's a summer sale started, and I've gone on there and I've spent about 30 odd quid on a selection of games that are around 50% off. So yes, a lot of these games are lower budget. Yes, a lot of these games are shorter experiences than your traditional full-length releases, but the prices are coming down. So if you wait around, you're going to be able to get the vast majority of these PSVR digital-only games on a discount. So just wait for the sales, you know, make a list of the things you're interested in maybe, and just keep an eye on the sales and wait around, because right now at the prices that some of these games are at, it's worth it. Even for me as a hardcore physical collector, or preferer, whatever the right word is, even for someone like me, it's worth it, I feel, at least, at the prices that some of these games are currently at. So I wanted to go through some of the digital-only games that I have got and just talk about them a little bit. I already did a physical game collection video on PSVR, and this is my digital game collection. Okay, so we have Windlands, I already talked about that, basically a Spider-Man simulator. It's not Spider-Man themed, it's just these generic kind of grassy and kind of floating platforms and such, but it's charming, it looks nice, it does the job. Yeah, then we've got, my controller's turned off. Yeah, alright, let's go. Then we got VR Invaders, like I just said. That is a wave shooter. You're stationary, but it's a lot of fun. Again, it's a basic game, but it's a fun basic game. And actually, the kind of short nature of a lot of these games kind of suits VR. Personally, for me, I don't want to be in the headset for hours on end. I haven't tried that yet. I haven't found a game that's maybe wants to do that yet. But I quite like having breaks every now and again. You know, it's good for you, really. It can be quite a lot to take in. So it's nice to have those breaks. So I'm not too bothered about, really, the kind of pick up and play nature of a lot of these games. It suits me. Super Hot VR. There's been a lot of hype about this game. No physical release for this one as of yet. I've jumped on board though. I bought it about half an hour after it got released last night at midnight. Super Hot VR is very unique. It's a first person shooter. You're kind of stationary. You know, you're not moving around the levels, but the unique thing about it is that time stands still unless you move. So there's an element of kind of a puzzle element to it. You have to judge the timing of things, you know, when your enemies are going to be firing at you or coming close to you, and who you need to prioritize, and, you know, which bullets you're going to need to dodge. It's very interactive. You can actually catch bullets and deflect bullets and throw objects at the enemies and all the rest of it, but it works really well. Super Hot VR. I jumped on board and I'm very happy with it. It's a really cool game. Lethal VR is a very basic shooting gallery game. Again, I got this on the sale, I think about £3. So for £3, yeah, I'll have a go at something like that. Yeah, very simple but very effective shooting gallery game. They work really well, especially obviously with the Move controllers. That just really intuitive, simple mechanic of just doing exactly what you would be doing in that situation in real life feels brilliant in VR. Surgeon Simulator does what it says on the tin. It's like those operation games on the Wii, but you have obviously two controllers now, and you're doing your surgeoning, trying to fix people and all the blood and guts that you have to try and get past and do the right things and put them back together and all that stuff. Yeah, it's unique. It's a lot of good. It's a lot of fun. Definitely one to show off to friends when they come round. If you want to show off your VR, that's a pretty fun little experience. Thumper is a psychedelic racing game, similar in vein to, I guess, Rez. It's a rhythm action game, but also a shooter, and it's very pretty to look at and very intense. Cool game, Thumper. Mervilles, I think I already talked about Mervilles. This is a very basic looking, but very well constructed, sort of platform RPG, sort of. Yeah, really charming. These little worlds, very, very basic graphics. I mean, we're talking like PlayStation 1 era kind of polygon graphics, really. Maybe PlayStation 2, early PlayStation 2, but yeah. But it's really charming, and there's a lot to do in each level. So that's kept me quite entertained. And, you know, a lot of these indie games on VR, whilst they're low budget, whilst they might not look as stunning as your main releases, again, because of the currently limited audience of PSVR, it's understandable that these are, it's going to be populated by a lot of indie developers who are putting smaller budgets into it, but are doing interesting things. This is the point I was trying to make, in a roundabout kind of way. Mervilles, like a lot of these indie games, show what is possible in VR. So, you know, they might not be the most polished examples of a genre, but it's showing the possibilities of VR, and Merville's has done that. It's not first person, you're hovering above your character that you're controlling, and that might go against some of the expectations of some people. You might expect all VR games to be first person, but they don't have to be. Merville's is really fun, even though it's third person, and you're just sort of hovering in this world, controlling your little guy. It's a lot of fun. I've definitely enjoyed Merville's, and I'm definitely going to play that through to the end. That's an absolute steal. I can't recommend that highly enough, actually, for the price it is. Again, you've got to get past the simple look of it, and understand the platform that you're on, and as a consequence of the limited audience, you're getting a lot of these low budget games, but they are accomplished in their gameplay, and that's what matters. Tumble VR is a very simple game. You have to stack objects on top of each other and try and make them balance. Again, a cheap, short experience, but it's a fun little distraction. And again, I am actually relishing this shift into these short, very simple, short burst games. I'm sure there's a better way to describe them. Pick up and play, whatever you like. Because I did kind of get fatigued by the huge, sprawling, open world games that are just one after the other on the main kind of releases. You know, obviously you've always been able to avoid them if you want. I'm not saying that you're lumbered with those choices. Of course, you've always been able to go and choose your indie games and all the rest of it. But yeah, main releases have kind of slipped into this kind of pattern of these open sand world games that are just huge in scope and thousands of things to do, and it just sometimes feel a little bit daunting. So it is nice actually to go back to this style of gameplay, which I hadn't really been doing a lot of. But again, that's my own lack of foresight if I had needed to. I don't know what I'm going on about. Pixel Gear is another wave shooter. This looks like you're in Minecraft world, and it's really charming, really fun little wave shooter. There's a lot of wave shooters on PSVR again, just because it works so well with the Move controller. Polybius, I must have talked about this before. Yeah, I know I have. Polybius is a really psychedelic game from Jeff Minter, the guy who made Tempest 2000. And Polybius, man, not for the faint-hearted. That is intense. I didn't have any motion sickness with it at all, actually, and I was quite surprised by it when I heard about it before I played it, that it was very comfortable to play, but really psychedelic. This beautiful retro digital graphics is so smooth. It's obviously prioritised smooth graphics, frames per second. This game runs at 60 frames per second, and you can tell that smoothness is beautiful, and I think it's worth the drop in kind of resolution or detail for that smoothness. It suits that gameplay. Polybius, I can highly recommend. What else we got? Super Hypercube, which is kind of like if you've seen some of those Japanese game shows where the people have to make shapes and go through the big boards of cardboard coming towards them or whatever. It's kind of like that. You have to move this block around so it fits through this platform that's coming towards you. Yeah, it's all right, not bad. Fantastic Contraption is a fun little game. I've seen this a lot. They're all fun little games. But there's a lot of depth actually to Fantastic Contraption. I don't want to do it injustice. You basically create models in order to achieve certain goals. And you have, rods, motors, wheels, whatever, all these different things you can put together completely of your own, creativity to put together and make whatever it is that is required to pass the level. So Fantastic Contraption, not played a hell of a lot of it yet, but what I have played has been really good. Bound is a platformer, beautiful, really elegant platformer. Again, very smooth graphics, and you're going through this kind of folded paper origami world, and it's just really nice. I've only got the demo of that so far, but I'll be getting the full version definitely. Brookhaven, I'm going through these quite fast. There's a lot. I've bought a hell of a lot of games for the PSVR digitally, and like I said, it has hurt me a little bit. But I can't help myself. You want more experiences to give you any reason to go back into the headset. Not that I've got bored with any of these games yet, but you just want to keep seeing what's out there. It's really addictive to get a new game on PSVR because it's more of an event. You know, maybe the novelty will wear off. I don't know. It certainly hasn't yet. But it feels like a little bit of an event to go into the headset, to go into a game world. You know, it's a bit more of an event than just a regular game. It feels like to me anyway. So that motivates you to keep getting new stuff and just seeing what they're like. And so I've had a bit of an insatiable appetite for VR stuff. But Brookhaven, that's another shooter. It's kind of zombies and such. It's pretty atmospheric, pretty cool. That's a game that has been given aim controller support. That's the big gun that you get with Farpoint again. And apparently some games will be having that in the future. Definitely deserves it. It's a really good controller. Crystal Rift is a dungeon crawler. Not played a lot of it yet, but it looks pretty sweet. Again, very low budget, very simplistic looking, but it gives you that sense of presence. Again, most of these games do that really well, and it's one of the big draws of VR. Oh My Genesis is a Tiny Planet kind of Sims, almost theme park style, I'm not describing it very well, Tiny Planet kind of world where you have to cultivate your creatures and look after them and all the rest of it. It's pretty cool. I haven't put a lot of hours into it yet. Static is brilliant. Static, you play with the DualShock. You hold it like this, and in the VR world, around your hands is a box with lots of little gadgets and dials and knobs and things on it, and you have to figure out how to get your hands out of the box. And basically all the things on the controller do something on the box that your hands are trapped in the game. And it's just figuring out what those things do and how they relate to each other and how you can manipulate the box in ways to eventually solve the locks to open it. And it's a good game. Static. I'm getting to the end now. Gunjack. This is an offshoot of Eve Valkyrie. So you're in a big mech, a space shooter, really nice looking. It's a wave shooter, but it's a really accomplished one. It's nice. Tethered, another Tiny Planet game where you're controlling your little sim kind of alien dudes, and that's really charming. It's a really nice game. Sports Bar VR does what it says on the tin. You've got a pool table, a darts board. It's not that great. It's all right. Gnog is another puzzle game. Dick Wild is another wave shooter, and Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a nice two-player game where one person without the headset has to give instructions to the person in the headset, and you have to work together to prevent a bomb going off. And that's it. That's all my digital games for PSVR. I didn't bother showing you the images of the games. I just talk about them. There's a lot there, but it has been a little bit, upsetting to have to again use that word again. That I have chosen to buy a lot of games digitally for it. And patience is a virtue that I haven't had with PSVR. It's too much. Because some of these games potentially will get physical releases later down the line. There was a game that's happened with recently. I can't remember it now. It's going to bug me, but yeah, there was a game that did quite well in sales, so it then got a physical release later on. And luckily, I did get that game physically. Was it Starblood Arena? I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, that's a worry that might happen down the line. That some of these games that I've already bought might do well and then get a physical release later on, and then I'll be tempted to buy it again, which would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? We'll see. But overall, really, really happy with it again. I had some technical issues with it. I have had some technical issues with the PSVR. With headphones, sometimes the sound has been glitching. I don't know if that's a loose connection. I did jiggle the wires around on the back of the system and it seemed to fix it for a bit, but then it came back again. So any advice from anybody? I've tried forums and none of them, the answers there seem to fit what's going on with me. I have this, the sound kind of cuts out and it's kind of like, bit, 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 like that. And it's fine out of the TV speakers, but through headphones sometimes that occurs. The tracking sometimes can go off a little bit wobbly. Again, I don't know for definite if this is my problem with the setup. not having ideal circumstances. I'm sure I'll iron out some of those issues, but overall, 95% of the time, it works really smoothly. But I haven't been put off by those little glitches, because again, it's understanding this is the first wave of VR tech, and all that entails. They're working out the bugs. Sony in particular obviously incorporated some old technology into it. So there's going to be the odd glitch here and there, but overall it's been a really great experience, and I can recommend it. I can. If you're on the fence, I'd say try it out first, and I'd say definitely try some of the more calm games first. The games where you're static in one place are a good place to start in VR, because you're not going to get any motion sickness playing the games where you're static, like wave shooters, the puzzle games. There's quite a lot of them that play like that, and I'd say wait for a bit, until you try some of the more hectic games. The term VR legs has been coined, and it's definitely a real thing. I can say with 100% surety I now have my VR legs, because I've been playing some of the more notoriously motion sickness inducing games with no problems whatsoever. I really enjoy Windlands is one, because like I've said before, anytime that your movement in the game doesn't match your movement in reality, it's a potential cause of motion sickness for those that are new to VR at least. And Windlands is one of those, because obviously you're swinging between branches of trees and really dynamic movements that of course you're not really doing, and yet I feel perfectly comfortable in Windlands and all other VR games actually. So VR legs is a real thing. So I've seen people try VR and then get put off because of the motion sickness, and it's a real shame, because I just think they've approached it, maybe they've jumped into those hectic games too quickly. Maybe they didn't wait till they get VR legs. I know Monkey Spaz, you had your headset and it really sent you queasy and you got rid of it. I don't know if he's got one back again since then, I don't know, but it's a shame when the VR sickness puts people off, because you genuinely do get used to it, and you genuinely do get your VR legs, as I have experienced. But man, this video's pretty long. I'm going to cut it off. I could talk a long time about it. I've had a lot of fun with the PSVR, but I can recommend it, and there's definitely going to be a price drop before Christmas. So maybe wait until then if you're on the fence. Maybe try and have a go on somebody else's or a store unit if you can. But it's there, and there's a lot of fun games out for it already. Like I said, unfortunately, most of them digital. But it's to be expected with these small indie releases. But anyway, that's it. So Skyrim VR's coming, and apparently, fingers crossed, there is a rumour that Fallout 4 is coming to VR also. That bodes well to see these big AAA titles get a VR release. I think that's going to pull in a lot more people, which will grow the system, which will make it more likely that dedicated VR AAA games will come, and more likely that a second generation of this tech will come at some point. I hope not too soon, of course. People have invested in this generation, but if it does well, there'll be a second generation. And that will be high definition, hopefully wireless, hopefully dedicated controllers and other improvements. It's only going to get better. It's really impressive. I'm ranting now, so I will go. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.